Hey guys, welcome back to today's second video. So today we have Judge Roy Moore from Alabama versus Doug Jones, both from Alabama, both running for the Alabama Senate seat. So I'm just going to do an election prediction between these two on a national standpoint. Two very much attacked candidates for different reasons, and overall we're just going to go through it with all the scandals involved, and we're going to do it as if it was today's standpoint. So Western Coast, and then we're going to fill in the the solid red states. So Idaho, Montana, the usual. Nebraska, I'm going to leave one electoral vote up. Missouri, Arkansas, Alabama, of course. I don't really see that one being that close. Actually, Missouri and Indiana, those I'm going to leave a little bit of a toss-up. It could be, I think it could be close because of Moore's scandals and the fact that Doug Jones could be painted, if he changed a bit of his policies, he could be painted as a Southern Democrat, not necessarily a conservative Democrat, but a Southern Democrat would do somewhat better in these states. And then Illinois would be safe blue. The Rust Belt would also be safe blue. The white class would definitely come out for Jones. Against Moore, the reasoning behind it is Moore has a lot of scandals. They didn't like Hillary Clinton's scandals. And it's typically Democratic. Jones, although he doesn't really have white working class appeal, Roy Moore doesn't whatsoever, and Jones looks better by comparison. And presidential elections are not about a super good candidate and a super bad candidate. It's the better one, and in this case, I definitely think the Rust Belt would choose Doug Jones over Roy Moore, especially with all those allegations behind him, and I think Doug Jones would ultimately win the Rust Belt. Same thing in the state of New Hampshire. I'm not so sure about Moore being able to take those voters. Since Jones could be perceived as a more Southern Democrat, I think he could win in states like Iowa, Ohio, Virginia, ultimately making him the next president. And the reasoning behind it is I think he would definitely do well in these states. They have more Southern Democratic appeal. He may not be a conservative Democrat per se, even Bill Clinton didn't win Virginia, but it still could possibly flip to Doug Jones' side, especially against Roy Moore with all those scandals behind him. And then going over to the Western Coast, these states are typically Democratic, historically Democratic. Probably would go for Doug Jones over Roy Moore. So now we have 302 electoral votes for Jones and 142 for Moore. And yeah, so we're going to fill in Nebraska's 2nd congressional district now and give it to Jones. Same thing with Maine. Especially with all those really hard scandals behind Moore and the fact that he's extremely super conservative, that may help him in areas like Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah. But that won't necessarily help him in states like Indiana, Georgia. Indiana, as much as a historical Republican state it is, Jones does have that Southern Democratic appeal. We'll talk about that in just a second. North Carolina and Georgia and Florida, I think these states would definitely go to Jones. He comes from around the area. He can appeal to the voters. So can Moore, but Moore has all those scandals. I don't see the evangelical population letting that slide that easily unless, they did let it slide somewhat for President Trump, but Roy Moore is not playing it off well, and he's not able to corral a lot of the base outside of Alabama, the GOP base behind him, unlike Donald Trump did. They all unendorsed him for maybe a day, and then they came back. It's been around half a week already, and they still haven't come back, especially in a state like this. But so now we have 364 electoral votes to 142 for Moore. Indiana, Missouri, I'm going to give that one to the Democrat. That may look a little bit weird, but it's likely going to be the outcome because I think more scandals behind him are not going to help him in these states. The white voters will soon think about what the choices there. The heavy Republican population doesn't really mean anything if they won't come out to vote. So I think ultimately Jones will be able to carry those states. And then we go over to Arizona. I think the state of Arizona would go to Moore because I don't think the Southern Democratic appeal goes all the way out to the Latino population other than historically Democratic states. And ultimately, I think this would be the final electoral map. 385 electoral votes for Doug Jones to 153 for Roy Moore. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow.